Thank you all very much for having us. I know Cher comes once a month to come talk to you about different things that go on at Cher. And I'm not here to promote Cher as a business. I'm here to promote Cher as a volunteer opportunity. Barbara Bush once stated that some people give their time, some give their money, some give their skills and connections, some literally give their life's blood, but everyone has something to give. And across the nation, organizations are serving the country's most vulnerable individuals, and we're doing it with less and less money. You all know that. You do lots of volunteer work on behalf of children. Cher is no different. We're trying to do as much as we can with as little as we have. Last year in July, we revamped our volunteer program. Up until that point, we had probably about 7 different volunteers. They all basically worked at the nursing home. Some of them were called pink ladies. We don't use that term anymore. There aren't any pink ladies anymore. But we kind of revamped it and decided that we were going to really work real hard at trying to get volunteers. Every hospital around the country has volunteers who do something. Okay, Cher's no different. We needed volunteers to do things that we just didn't have time to do. So far, we have grown to 23 volunteers. We have 6 fire watch volunteers. When we had the water problem back in February, early March, when the sprinklers that we had for the buildings ran on water, and when we didn't have water, we had to find some way to monitor the buildings for fire. So we literally had to go out and find volunteers who would walk through the building once every hour to check for fire in every location. So we found 6 different volunteers who would do that, and we did that for about 3 or 4 days. The fire department helped us out for a couple of days, but then it got to the point where they couldn't do it anymore, so we go out and find others. So we have close to 30 or so volunteers that work at the nursing home and at Cher, the Cher Medical Center. For 2012, all of our volunteers logged 816 hours. That's total for everyone that we have. Which we really only started tracking starting in July, so it's July to December. So far, between the beginning of January to May, we have already logged over 1,717 hours of volunteer service. In May alone, our largest month ever, we've logged 465 hours with our 23 volunteers. And that is for the Convalescent Home and the Medical Center. Some of our volunteers, one in particular, Carol DeVinny, I don't know if you know him or not. He's from Kansas, but he moved here recently. He came in one day and said, I'm going to volunteer, but I'm only going to do this for a couple of days. I don't want to do any more than that. I'm going to help out just for a little bit. He had a girlfriend that worked in the physician's clinic, so he was going to help her out for a couple of days, and then that was all he was going to do. And if you volunteer at Cher, you realize that there's a lot of paperwork that's involved. State regulations say that you have to have an OSBI background check. You have to have TB shots. You have to have other vaccination shots. You have to have all this paperwork saying that you will be honest, you will not be corrupt, you won't violate the patients and residents, all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of paperwork. Here's this guy that came to me and said, I only want to volunteer for 2 days, and that's it. He has become one of our most loyal volunteers. He works almost 40 hours a week, and he, at this point, volunteers more than anybody else that we have. So he decided that he liked volunteering. He felt needed, he felt worthy, he felt like he was contributing, he loved it. He's volunteering all the time. Our other one is Lynn Heasley. I'm sure a lot of you know Lynn. He came in one day and said, I want to give back to my community. I want to do something. I don't want to work for you, but I want to do something to help. So he volunteers now. He, again, is one of our long-term, hardest working employees that we have. He started off kind of doing like custodial things, picking up the trash, keeping things neat, that kind of stuff. He quickly took over other areas. Don't know how to say that. He worked in our central supply, putting supplies away. He's worked in our HIM office, that's health information management office, filing things. He now is in charge of our yard crew. Share Medical Center has enlisted the help of BJCC inmates to help do our yard crew, and he now supervises 3 days a week the inmates that help with our yard crew. He again works probably 80 hours a month at least, if not more. He absolutely loves it. He comes and goes when he wants to. He enjoys every bit of it. We enjoy having him there because he smiles, he's active, he comes to every office and says hello to everyone. He just really enjoys being around people and working. Another one of our volunteers is Ivan Rose. His wife Jean Ann works at the nursing home. He is our longest running volunteer that we have. He's worked over 30 years as a volunteer. He's done everything from building items to calling bingo to transporting patients to and from doctor's appointments whenever they needed to go out of town. The farthest place he drove to was Wichita, taking a patient somewhere. But mostly he drives just to Enid and back now, taking patients to doctor's appointments. I just said, he goes, I don't want any recognition for this. He goes, I just do it because I want to be needed. I feel needed, and you all need me, so that's why I volunteer. The mission for our volunteers is clear. It states, we are dedicated individuals who promote and advance the welfare of Share Medical Center. This shall be accomplished by enhancing lifestyles, supporting projects, and bringing a balance of health and well-being to the community. We have volunteers who work everywhere from the physician's clinic to the ER, to the hospital floor, to the convalescent home, hospice, pharmacy registration, the Sheriff Foundation, Central Supply, physical therapy, and then we have our at-home volunteers. Our at-home volunteers are the people who don't necessarily want to come up to the hospital and work, but they do something for us at their home. What we've had recently is we needed some adult bibs for the nursing home, so we had several ladies at the First Baptist Church who decided that they were going to sew for us. So they made up 189 adult bibs for us, which all the material was volunteered, all their time was volunteered, and they really have helped us out a great deal. Some of the duties that our volunteers do, they do everything from filing to internal transport, and that's taking people who are who walk in the door. If they don't know how to get to the lab or the ER or radiology or wherever, we take them to where they need to go. That's internal transport. We play bingo and activities with the nursing home residents. We pass out newspapers and drinks to guests. We have a custodian. We do driving and companion care for residents. To and from doctor's appointments, yard crew, answer phones. We have one volunteer who makes cupcakes for our hospice patients for every holiday. We have a volunteer who updates our Facebook pages. And the possibility is endless. If you have a talent that you want to share, that we'll find a place for you if you're interested in volunteering. Our volunteers are anyone from retired individuals to high school students. We have 2 high school students, one just graduated, the other one just turned 15. You have to be 15 in order to volunteer. She answers the phones on the weekends. We have several college students. One of them is an international student from Guyana. I have one that works in physical therapy. Some of our volunteers end up becoming our employees. We had a volunteer that started in January, and by May she worked herself into a full-time job this summer. So, we do the best that we can. We encourage people to volunteer, especially college students and high school students, because you can eventually find a position there. We work 7 days a week. Afternoon, mornings, evenings. Anybody that wants to volunteer their time, anytime, we'll make room for you. We have group activities too. If you have an organization that needs some volunteer hours, and say like you're a high school group and you can sing, coming to the nursing home and singing to the residents gives them something to look forward to. So if you have a church group or something like that that would like to do something, we'll accept any kind of volunteer help that we can find. Your volunteer work is tax deductible if you consult a tax advisor. Okay, let me kind of explain that a little bit. The government, the federal government, sets dollar amounts to volunteer work. So for the state of Oklahoma, it's different for every state. The state of Oklahoma, the volunteer rate is $17.49 an hour. So you can discuss this with your tax attorney, but there is a possibility that that could be written off your taxes depending on how your taxes are. The volunteer program is run through the Sheriff Foundation, and we are a 501c3 charitable foundation. So if you donate time or goods or whatever that is working through our foundation office. If you know of anybody that wants to volunteer, please give me a call at the hospital. Like I said, we'll work with whatever schedule you have. We're very flexible, so if you can only work a couple hours here, maybe next month a couple hours there, we'll work with you on whatever you whatever you need. Volunteering is a gift to the hospital, but it's also a gift to yourself as you find out that it's very rewarding, and you really do. That's all right. You really do enlighten the patients and the residents whenever you do come in. They do enjoy seeing new faces and visiting with new people. One last thing is that the volunteer program at the hospital is having a cow bingo contest. And it's a cow patty bingo contest. And we're trying to raise money to do some landscaping and to finish our memorial garden. The hospital was the recipient of some sculptures by Don Vella that we have refinished, and we're ready to place out into the front of the hospital. We've dedicated an area that we're going to make a memorial garden out of, and we're just trying to get that project finished up, so we're looking for funds. So if you're interested in cow patty bingo tickets, please see me because I do have some. Thank you very much.